Get off my land before I have you arrested. Yeah, that was the very first thing I ever heard from Celeste Harlow. Can you believe that? Her voice just about peeled the paint right off my old barn, screeching through the morning air like a banshee let loose at sunrise. There I was, just standing in my muddy boots, surveyor's map rolled out in my hands, trying to make sense of this new life I'd just bought into, when this woman in a cream blazer and high heels comes storming across the wild grass, waving a clipboard around like she was about to lead the D-Day charge herself. I swear, if looks could kill, I'd have been 6 feet under before my first cup of coffee. And right behind her, two folks hustling to keep up. A burly guy who looked like he'd rather be getting a root canal, and a thin, nervous woman whose eyes never quite met mine, like she already felt bad about whatever was coming next. You gotta understand, I'd owned this land for exactly 3 days. That's it. Just 3 days, barely enough time to find where the fence line ran. And suddenly the local HOA president herself is marching up to tell me I don't belong. Now, most folks probably would have been mad, maybe a little scared even, but honestly, I just wanted to laugh. Whatever power trip she was riding, it ended right at the old fence line because my land was mine and there wasn't a single HOA bylaw that could change that. Anyway, let me back up a sec because that morning, with the March sun crawling up over the tree line and dew still shining on every blade of grass, I felt like I'd finally escaped the city and all those years of fluorescent lights and endless meetings. I traded in traffic and emails for real freedom. A shot at turning this patch of earth into the dream organic farm I'd been doodling on notepads for years. Name's Desmond Pierce, by the way. After a whole lifetime spent shuffling paper in a cubicle, I finally had dirt under my fingernails that was actually mine. So there I was, breathing in the wet earth, feeling almost giddy when Celeste stopped cold at the fence like there was an electric charge running through it. Up close, her hair was stiff as fiberglass, perfume so thick you could taste it if you opened your mouth, and her grip on that clipboard. Honestly, I think she was hoping I'd flinch just so she could say she won. The big guy, Greg, just kind of stared off into space, and the woman, Linda, kept her chin tucked to her chest. Then came the introductions. Celeste Harlow, president of the Riverside Gardens Homeowners Association, with that cold, careful tone that makes you check if your wallet's still in your back pocket. She starts in about community aesthetics and property values, waving her hand toward the neat row of houses on her side of the fence. I just smiled, rolled up my map, and told her real polite that I'd already checked everything with the county. My land wasn't part of her HOA, and the fence was the proof. But Celeste didn't even blink. That's irrelevant, she snapped. What you do here affects all of us. Greg shuffled, wishing the ground would swallow him up, and Linda tried to say, Celeste, maybe we should, but got cut off sharp. I kept it polite, told them I was planning a clean, legal, organic farm. Celeste just leaned in, dropped her voice, and hissed, You have no idea what you're dealing with. This community has standards, Mr. Pierce. She shot a glance at my little wooden cabin and wrinkled her nose like she caught a whiff of rotten eggs. That eyesore won't be tolerated. That's when Greg pulled out his phone and, no kidding, snapped a photo of me like I was a wanted criminal. And that's when it clicked for me. This wasn't just neighborhood pride. This was territory. She was eyeing my land like a wolf sizes up a lamb. You'll be hearing from us, she promised, before stomping off, Linda glancing back at me with this look like she wanted to warn me, but just didn't have it in her. Once their little posse slipped back through the HOA gate, I went straight to work. I replayed every second in my mind, recorded notes, saved every detail. Something about her, the way she just steamrolled over legal boundaries, it didn't sit right. I'd had tough neighbors before, but this felt like chess, not checkers. So first step? Evidence. Photos of everything. Copies of every document I had, plus a security camera pointed right at the gate facing their side. Wouldn't you know, later that morning, I spot a silhouette lurking in the bushes on the HOA side, just standing there, watching my place, then slipping away before I could get a good look. I snapped a picture, time-stamped it. It told me this was only just beginning. 3 days went by, nothing but birds and deer on the camera feeds. I started hoping maybe Celeste was just full of hot air. But then, on day 4, I found a letter taped to my gate. White envelope, shiny gold, HOA seal, notice a violation, screaming in angry red at the top. They listed all these supposed infractions: unauthorized structure, failure to submit plans, non-compliance with neighborhood beautification, all signed by Celeste with a flourish that looked straight off a bad check. 77 days to fix it, or else face escalating penalties. Filed it under evidence, HOA harassment. 2 days later, another letter showed up. This one shrieking, final notice, monetary penalties applied. Now, apparently, I owed $500 a day, and they threatened to slap liens on my place or even seize my assets. All rights reserved under California Civil Code. I laughed out loud, not because it was funny, but because it was just that absurd. Celeste was making up authority and hoping I'd flinch. That's when I called up Preston Vale, a lawyer buddy I'd met at a sustainability conference years back. He just listened, then said, "Desmond, they got zero legal standing. Can't fine you, can't place liens, can't seize a damn thing. But folks like this, they escalate. Document everything. Build your case because odds are you'll need it." Yeah, that happened. So I doubled down. More cameras, audio recordings, backups on the cloud. And sure enough, next night I caught something wild. An SUV sliding through my gate at 2 a.m., headlights off. Out steps Celeste, now in dark clothes and a ball cap, still clutching that clipboard like it's Excalibur. Greg's with her, carrying bolt cutters. They circled my cabin, tried the doors and windows, snapped some photos, but couldn't get in. 10 minutes later, they drove off. All on camera. I call the police. Officer Callahan shows up, no nonsense, takes one look at the footage, and just shakes his head. "You want to press charges?" Trespassing, attempted burglary, property damage. Got enough here for all three. But just a heads up, folks like this, they usually come back. Upgrade your security. So I did. Next day, Celeste is back with a lawyer in a slick suit, smooth as can be. The HOA is prepared to offer you fair market value if you vacate within 30 days, he says, like he's offering me a gift. Otherwise, this will be expensive and futile for you. Celeste hovers right behind him, just waiting for me to cave. I pull out my own stack, county maps, legal letters, proof I'm outside their jurisdiction. Keep harassing me, and I'll pursue legal action. The lawyer's smile cracks a little. "Mr. Pierce, I'd strongly advise you reconsider." I just shut the gate in their faces. That night, my power and water were cut, not by accident, but by bolt cutters and wrenches. The obvious cameras got spray black, but the hidden ones kept rolling. And there she was again, giving orders in the shadows. I logged every detail: utility company, police, the works, built a file thick enough to choke a horse. And then, the real twist, 2 days later, a pair of supposed police officers showed up at my gate. Uniforms, badges, a court order telling me to vacate in 10 minutes flat. But nothing looked right. Wrong badge numbers, a fake court seal, and get this, sneakers, not boots. I called 911 on the spot. Real cops rolled up, and, long story short, those officers turned out to be hired actors. Celeste had actually paid people to dress up and scare me off my land. The real police arrested them right then and there, felony charges for impersonating peace officers. And within the hour, Celeste herself was in handcuffs, marched out in front of the whole HOA in her designer jogging suit, looking like her world just collapsed. Turns out, this wasn't her first rodeo. The DA found records of her running the same scam on 3 other owners. Harass, threaten, forge documents, scare them off, then scoop up the land cheap through shell companies. But this time, with all the evidence stacked high, she couldn't wriggle out. She pled guilty to 5 felonies, 2 years in state prison, fines, restitution, banned for life from holding any HOA office in California. Her husband divorced her inside of a month, claimed he never saw any of it coming. Civil court hit her with damages too, property repairs, emotional distress, and enough punitive penalties to send message. The new HOA president, Iris, the same woman who tried to warn me in her own quiet way, called a public meeting, apologized, and rewrote the rules to make sure this would never happen again. After all that, some neighbors still gave me the stink eye, like I'd ruined their suburban paradise, but most realized they'd been duped. They brought over bread, said sorry, try to move on. The fake cops lost their acting gigs forever. Greg got 6 months in county jail and, to his credit, came by the fence after he got out, said, "I thought I was protecting the neighborhood. I was wrong." I nodded. Forgiveness takes time, you know. As for me, I built a wall, 10 feet of concrete painted white, covered with wildflowers and climbing vines. Not out of spite, but clarity. Boundaries matter. I started my farm, built greenhouses, filled my land with life and color. The HOA stayed on their side, new leadership doing things the right way. 6 months later, I even got a letter from Celeste in prison. Careful words, owning up to what she'd done, asking for nothing. I filed it with the evidence, closed that chapter, and moved on. You know, people think justice is some big, triumphant, fist-pumping moment. But really, it's quieter, more relief than victory. That wall I built wasn't about keeping folks out. It was about drawing a line nobody could misunderstand. Sometimes, that's all it takes to finally find some peace. So let me ask you, have you ever had to stand your ground when everyone else tried to push you off it? Would you have stayed, or would you have walked away? Drop your thoughts below. And if you've ever fought for what's right, I want to hear about it, because nobody deserves to lose their home to a bully in a blazer. If this story made you think, hit subscribe and share it with someone who needs a good plot twist.